If it's Tuesday, that means it's time for the Comic Book School live show because at Comic Book School, we own Tuesday. And today is Tuesday, April 26th. My name is Buddy Scalera. And if you're a first-time creator hoping to get your first exposure to comics publishing, a rising talent building your audience, or someone trying to look like they're not reading off the screen, like me, we welcome you to Comic Book School, where we talk about the craft and business of making comics. My name is Buddy Scalera. I already said that. And I'm the founder of comicbookschool.com, a place where people just like you can learn about the craft and business of making comics. I'm also a comic book writer and a publisher with nearly 30 years in the comic book business. And tonight I am joined by legendary three-time Emmy Award-winning television writer and the guy that used to sit next to me at Wizard Magazine, a true legend among hermits, my good friend, Mike Fasolo.
Hi, buddy.
Mike, truly legendary for so many reasons. How was my read? Did it seem a little more authentic?
It always seems authentic. It's just, you look like you're reading.
Are my eyes down or are my eyes
Yeah,
up?
they're down. They should be up a little more. Yeah. You should just try. You should practice a little. Like
Yeah, we don't practice.
Look at the camera and then take a pic and screenshot and see, oh, that's how I need to look.
Well, I don't care that much.
And by the way, you've done this quite a few times. Shouldn't you have that memorized by now?
No. And honestly, I feel like that's the theme of the show. Tonight, we're going to be talking about The Killing Joke, the legendary comic book graphic novel in great detail, almost as if we've prepared a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's a good, see, Vince said it. Use sunglasses. And
sunglasses, yeah, they work, but that's a cheat. That's a cheat. You don't want to cheat.
Vince doesn't cheat.
No. Well,
Vince
if you wear sunglasses,
he wants me to cheat. So, Mike, we'll be talking a little bit about the world-famous graphic novel, The Killing Joke, which I believe is an excellent story. You know what? Rich said it. He took the words right out of my mouth. Right out of my mouth. So what we're going to be doing is analyzing a little bit of the visual storytelling and the way the words and pictures interplay on the page. And I don't usually do a deconstructionist analysis of storytelling like this, but I love this story so much, and I really wanted to share some of my observations. Now, true to form, I gave you no information to prepare with.
You texted me and said, "Have you ever read this?" And I said, "Yeah, a long time ago." And then that was it.
Yeah, but of course, I told him we're probably going to talk about this. And what initiative did you take?
None.
Okay.
No, there was initiative saying I could read it, but then I didn't hear back from you, so I said, "Well, why bother?"
This is why we work well together. Anyway, Mike, it doesn't matter if you read it or not, and it doesn't matter for the people who are watching if you've read it or not. Really, we'll have some spoilers, but I mean, the book came out in 1988, Mike. If you haven't read it yet,
yeah, you're a little behind.
Yeah, Soylent Green is people. Luke is Darth is Luke's father, and Rosebud's a sled. Let's just face it. Sometimes you just have to keep up with pop culture. So, as we look forward to this, I encourage people to chat and chat their thoughts. If they disagree with me, they can just not chat at all. Yeah. They could just leave. I'm here just for my own validation. I'm here to feed my ego.
That's what you got to do sometimes.
I figured you would just say, "Well, you got to eat a lot to feed that ego." And I go, "I know, I do." So, okay. So we're going to be, I know, fat jokes aplenty. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into explaining briefly what The Killing Joke is all about. This is a deluxe reprint of it. It's been reprinted innumerable times. It came out in 1988. It won an Eisner and any number of other awards. Forgetting all the awards, I've always considered this graphic novel to be one of the definitive Batman stories, and for a number of reasons. It was consistent with both characters. It analyzed who they are, how their relationship is, and then ultimately pulled together what I believe was an amazing parallel between their personalities, demonstrated effectively through story. And then there's an ending, Mike. And the ending we'll have to discuss.
There is an
and
ending.
I'll put it out at the beginning. At the end, did Batman kill the Joker? So we're gonna see if we come up with an answer. So, what do you think, Mike? You ready to rock this narrative?
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Okay.
Page
so
1.
Let's do a setup. Okay. So we're going to be breaking down visual storytelling with the Killing Joke, and I'm going to take you through 3 separate areas of storytelling. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right. So the first element of storytelling, not that one. Nope. The first element of storytelling is this opening, which we will come back to a number of times. Now, I've taken a photo of the spread so you can get a sense of the spread, but in the next slide, I'll zoom in. All right. So Batman enters, and the Joker is playing cards, and you can see a Joker right there on the table. Now, one of the things that's notable about this page, Mike, is on the first page, the relative lack of dialogue and the onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia being sound effects that are drawn as words. And really the only sound effect, there's no sitting, no chair screeching, no door creaking opening, no footsteps. It's just this snap, right? So let's take a closer look at that. So we see this happening over and over again. And one of the really key points to this story, and it will be repeated through the story, and I want you to pay attention to it. It's a little blurry here, but up here it says there were 2 guys in a lunatic asylum. All right, so this takes place in Arkham Asylum. So there are 2 guys in a lunatic asylum, and the story opens up. Who are the 2 guys, Mike?
That would be the Joker and the Batman.
Right. So there are 2 guys in a lunatic asylum. So Batman says, I came to talk. And essentially, he states the thesis of the story, which is he's been thinking, what's going to happen in the end? Either one of us is going to kill the other one. And he says to the Joker, are you listening to me? It'll be either me, my death, or maybe yours. I don't fully understand why ours should be such a fatal relationship, but I don't want your murder on my... Come on, Mike, work with me here.
Well, am I supposed to read it? Because I can't.
Oh, okay. Hands.
It's too small.
Okay, sorry. So I don't want your murder on my hands. And the visual cue here is after he's grabbed the Joker's white hand and he lifts his hand, murder on your hands might typically be red, right? Red playing an extremely important color in murder. But he didn't want their murder on your hands. But when Batman lifts his hands, there is a white smudge on his hands, emblematic of the Joker's colors. What do you think so far?
I think so good so far.
So good so far. So this is the setup. This is the setup that will give us the trajectory of the story. And then the next 3 sections that we go through will cover these themes in a different way to the conclusion of, does Batman
kill the Joker?
Kill the Joker. Okay. You with me tonight?
I am.
All right. So we have the repeating imagery of lunacy, madness, lunacy, whatever you want to call it. They use the word lunacy a lot in this. And basically, the Joker's thesis is that it only takes one bad night to push a person over the edge. In the left panel, you have the person who is essentially the Joker. He will become the Joker after this scene. He will put on the red hood and become the Joker. And after one night, he loses his mind. One bad night. Now, on the right, we have Commissioner Gordon. And throughout this story, the Joker is trying to prove a point. It only takes one bad night to push a person over the edge, and all you have to do is embrace the lunacy, and you too will become a lunatic.
And look, right? they match the hand.
Isn't that great?
The posture, yeah.
Okay, so I should note that this is after the Joker has received bad news and is now about to commit a crime. But at this moment, he is breaking down. And I see comments coming in. The Facebook feed isn't working. Now it's working. Okay, so it is working. Ooh, so good. Okay, Glenn, thank you for letting us know. I forgot that people were on, Mike. I thought it was just me and you.
That's all it should be.
That's all it should be. Okay, so the Joker here on the right panel has exposed Commissioner Gordon to an extremely violent crime involving his daughter, who is Barbara Gordon. And he is progressively trying to drive Commissioner Gordon mad. He's literally stripped him naked, stripped him of everything that he has, police uniform, weapon, the whole works, and has tortured his daughter. Now, notice the sound effect on the right, ba-dump.
Ba-dump.
Each time he is trying to progressively push Jim Gordon over the edge, he has this repeating imagery of going through doors. And what he tells Jim Gordon is, insanity is just letting yourself go through the doors and accepting insanity. And we progressively see this strip of ba-dump, ba-dump, as Jim Gordon continues to go through these doors with the repeating imagery of just accept insanity can be caused by one bad night. So what we see a repetition of this sound effect, the onomatopoeia, the imagery of Jim Gordon through his POV, going through different sets of doors with similar designs until eventually Batman happens upon the scene and punches the Joker through those very doors with the same sound effect, ba-dump.
Insanity.
Insanity. But Jim Gordon has not yet gone insane.
Not quite.
Because Jim Gordon is a very powerful and strong-willed man. But that leads probably to one of the more important elements of the story, which is repeating imagery from the beginning all the way through the middle and all the way to the end. So far, you tracking?
I am.
You are tracking. Do you like this, or do you think this is boring? Do you think
no, I think this is good.
This?
I would have never sat down and analyzed it like this.
But that's the value that I bring to the audience. They've paid their money. I figure I should give them.
You should analyze it for them.
Yeah. Okay. So I call this section "A Flashlight in a Lunatic Asylum." And Mike, I have to tell you, I'm really proud of that title. I think when I explain this to you, you will appreciate it as well. So
it will be like a flashlight in my brain.
This is a flashlight in your brain. And that's the place I occupy. Okay, sorry, this is a little blurry. These are literally photos that I've taken out of the graphic novel. So let's go back to the beginning. There were these two guys in a lunatic asylum, and then Batman doesn't acknowledge him, and he says, "Hello, I've come to talk, and I've been thinking lately about you and me, about what's going to happen to us in the end. All right? We're going to kill each other, aren't we?" Joker's not listening, still playing cards. "Are you listening to me? It's life and death that I'm discussing here. Maybe my death, maybe yours. I don't fully understand why such a fatal ours should be such a fatal relationship, but I don't want your murder on my hands." Tracking?
I'm tracking.
Good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see.
I'm gonna have questions after this, though. Something to bring up, but continue.
Oh yeah, Glenn Gatilla, those old school funhouse rides, the ba-dump, ba-dump, the bumper hitting the door sound. Yeah, that's a good point, Glenn. Thank you. I forgot about that. That's right. So you're gonna have some questions, Mike? Do you want to ask a question before I roll into this, because it's going to get heavy now?
It's really just today's discussion of Batman's code, and his not killing, especially the Joker.
Okay, I'm with you, but do you? In the end, I'm going to have to ask you if you still think that Batman did or did not kill the Joker, and also, this is where we get into the actual killing joke. So we open up the story and close the story with the same basic theme of Batman facing off the Joker, talking about their life and death. I want to pause for a minute. As writers, let's just go back to what Glenn had noted. We had noted that, the sound effect, ba-dump, ba-dump, something we could all relate to, the colors, the repeating imagery along the side of the page. These are all choices that artists can make and writers can work together with to tell an effective story. Now, Alan Moore is well known for this type of repeating imagery, and you've seen it with other artists, but of course, Brian Bolland, the artist, has pulled it through. And so I think, you can't just credit one or the other. It is definitely a combination of the two of them. So as we move into the flashlight part, note the color schemes. Highlights on reds and blues and greens, and just those colors. Everything else, the colors have been grayed out. So here's a spread. Now, I'm not going to expect you to read it because I'm going to zoom in, but essentially what we have here is Batman facing off against the Joker. We see his typical grin. We see Batman's grim face. We see the leap. We see the tackle. We see the Joker create a ridiculous squirt with acid. You see the Joker run away. Batman puts an antidote. He runs into the House of Fun with a ba-dump sound effect.
Mm-hmm.
Batman looks back, sees Commissioner Gordon, asks if he's okay. Commissioner Gordon says, get the Joker, because the Joker did not break Commissioner Gordon, right?
Exactly.
It's a real ba-dump. Okay, so we now are in the place that I'm going to zoom in. Okay, did I zoom in right? I didn't.
Sorry. You didn't push the button. Push the button.
I messed this one up. Okay, so essentially here it's hard to read. He repeats the lines from the beginning. I've been thinking about us later a lot lately, about you, about us, and eventually one of us is going to kill each other, right? So Ben, essentially, sorry I didn't do the zoom in right, but essentially he has advised the Joker that that's the narrative, and now they are in a clash, right? But the key thing here is that the Joker, who tried with the ba-dump, 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 and even one more ba-dump, he's gone back into the madhouse. Jim Gordon remains unbroken, and the only thing he tells Batman to go is go get the Joker. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Batman, this is the full page, and then I'll zoom into this page here. So they're talking, and Batman truly wants to find a way to end the craziness, the insanity, the years of fighting. And it's a little bit meta and a little bit deconstructionist, but at the same time, it's relevant because Batman is trying to reason. Look at the hand motion of Batman. Look at how the Joker is broken and Batman is standing over him. Look at how Batman is looking directly and the Joker is sort of looking off into the distance thinking. And then in that beat panel, and a beat, right, Mike, a beat is when you just sort of wait on something, there's no dialogue. Yep. And then the Joker sort of looks like he's holding a joke back, says, no, I'm sorry, but no, it's too late. Far too late. Ha ha ha. You know, it's funny. This situation, it reminds me of a joke. So throughout the story, the Joker has tortured Jim Gordon, has killed multiple people, has almost killed Barbara Gordon, and the Joker, he just thinks of a joke. So isn't that like just, meta example of his character? So what happens? Let's just take a look. Now, just watch the scene blocking of this. And the next two slides, I do an actual zoom in, Mike. So the Joker begins and we zoom out. And the Batman watches patiently. And the Joker telling a joke with his hands. He's spreading his hands. He's being dramatic with his finger pointing. And I'll read the joke to you in a second. Batman's not far enough away. Note the lights above the Joker in this panel, right? These lights become important. And then the Joker, dramatic, crazy. And then he's got the smile and he laughs at his own joke. He keeps laughing at his own joke. And Batman does something that's almost unimaginable, but completely makes sense in this story. He laughs at the Joker's joke. Not only does he laugh at the Joker's joke, he is absolutely doubled over. He puts his hand on the Joker's shoulder. The Joker's hand is out because he's told a great joke. We see the ha-ha-has. We hear the sirens of the E's. We hear the more of the sirens of the E's. And then we see nothing and hear nothing. Sirens stop. The laughs stop. So before I ask you to render a decision, Mike, I'm going to look at the first page. And it's important to read the joke. You're tracking so far? You like this?
I'm tracking. Yeah.
All right. So the Joker says, see, there's these two guys in a lunatic asylum. And remember, who do we talk about? There's two guys in a lunatic asylum. Who are we referring to?
That is Batman and Joker.
Batman and Joker. See, there's these two guys in a lunatic asylum. And one night they decide they don't like living in an asylum anymore. They decide that they're going to escape. And so, they get up on the roof there, and just across the narrow gap, they see the rooftops of the town stretching away from the moonlight, stretching away to freedom. Now, the first guy, he jumps right across with no problem. But his friend daren't make the leap, you see? He's afraid of falling. So then this first guy has an idea. He says, I've got my flashlight with me. I'll shine it between the gap of the buildings, and then you can walk along the beam of light and join me. But the second guy just shakes his head and he says, ha ha ha, no way. What do you think? I'm crazy? You turn it off halfway across. It's actually not a bad joke, right?
Not terrible. Two guys in an asylum. They're
but
crazy.
It's the Joker, right?
Yeah.
And he has literally demonstrated their relationship in a joke. Let's look at the imagery. We've got a string of lights across at the top on the left panel where he begins this story. We've got more lights up above Batman. Where the Joker is facing the moon, you see the moonlight and you see the reflection of the city and the water. And then the Joker is telling the story, and in the right, top right corner, now you see the prominence of the lights. Lights are actually extreme foreground. The light becomes pop like a really important element. And look at the shadow that Batman's casting around him because the light's behind him. Now, as the Joker gives the, what do you think, I'm crazy? It all comes together. You've got the Joker with the smile over the shoulder. You've got the little bit of moonlight, and you've got the rain. So wonderful storytelling. So what happens next? The Joker laughs, ha, 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 ha. Oh, no, do excuse me, ha, 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 ha. And the first time, I don't think I've ever seen a story where Batman laughs at a joke by the Joker. But in this case, it works. Because in this meta moment, the Joker is truly talking about him and Batman, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, hee, 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 and Batman, hee, hee, hee. Now we hear the sirens. Now this is important, Mike. We see the light coming from the police car. We see 2 headlights in the front, 2 additional cars in the back. We see the cars approaching. And when we see the cars approaching, look on the ground with the rain. The first time we see the raindrops pooling on the ground and we see a beam of light. You get a little chill up the back of your leg?
Yes, now I see.
You see the light. So we see the light here. I'm going to show that same panel again. Now this is, if we were to look at this full page, we were to say that's the full page. Now we come in. So here's the joke. He tells the joke. Ha, he, ha, 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 ha. Beam of light. I want to note something. Batman's cape is crossing the beam of light and the Joker is on the other side of the beam of light. Now the water has not completed, but you see a beam of light in panel 1 just below that E, and you see another panel, and as the water is beginning to fill, you see the beam of light not quite connect, and just as the beam of light is about to connect, it stops. Are these the lunatics in the asylum trying to cross the gap between their relationship? Are they the 2 lunatics who, if just for the connection of that beam of light, would be able to escape this situation that they've been stuck in through their whole relationship? What do you think, Mike?
I think it's good. I think you did a good job on this.
So we can look at the page now as a double page spread. Once again, let's just take a look and observe. We use a lot of light. Now that we know what's happening in the dialogue, we use a lot of light. We use a lot of setup and a lot of repeated panels. But the key thing here, and I will ask you now, Mike, in the final scene, we're back in the beginning of the book, in the very, very beginning, he says, we are going to kill each other, right? He says, we're going to kill each other. And then later on, when he gets in here, he says, we are going to kill each other. And then in this final scene, it's all about we're going to kill each other. And the Batman says, maybe we can have a truce. And of course, the Joker says, well, that kind of reminds me of a joke, right? That's the Joker. My question to you, Mike, and to the audience of the tens of people who watch this show. See, it's funny. It's funny, right?
Yeah. Tens. It used to be 5s. Now it's 10s. That's good.
All right. So before you answer your question and tell me if you think he killed the Joker, what did you think of the usage of light bridging a gap between the 2 lunatics? And of course, the killing joke, which was, you know, are you like, he believes he would be able to walk across the beam of light if the other guy just didn't turn it off.
Yeah.
Proving that they were just 2 people who were lunatics in the insane asylum.
Well, the thing is, I never would have noticed that. And I've read that comic quite a few times. And I never even, took into account, oh, there's a beam of light there.
There is a beam of light there, and I think
There
Vince said a
is.
good point, which is a visual metaphor element in sequential form. Bravo. Yeah.
Now, did you notice that the first time you were reading it?
Well, the first time I read it, I was a lot younger, and it wasn't that old at that point. I enjoyed the story. It was an iconic story for many reasons. It works on a lot of levels. It wasn't until later that I really came to appreciate like just how much was going on. I mean, so let's just look real quick from the top again. I mean, we start with this thing. We see the limited palette. Batman's blue, the Joker's green, red, and then the red fanap, fanap, fanap. And then later on, we see the badup, 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 right? We see the repetition of Batman's basic thesis, which is we have to stop this. Eventually, we're going to kill each other. We see Joker's thesis, which is it only takes one night to push a good man over the edge, right? And he tries his best, but he is unable to push Jim Gordon over the edge. But Jim Gordon is exactly where the Joker was when he went over the edge, proving the point it might not be one thing. But later on, he does say to Batman, what happened that pushed you over the edge? Was it one bad night? And as it turns out, it was absolutely one bad night, right?
Yes, it was.
Right? One bad night pushed the Joker over the edge. One bad night pushed Batman over the edge. As we had seen with onomatopoeia and the sound effects, the ba-dump, 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 the color schemes, the repeating point of view of Jim Gordon, right? We see Jim Gordon forcing through these doors, and what the Joker says is just let go. Just let go to madness. You have a choice. Just go mad. But Jim Gordon won't. And then we have our final, where we come back to the full circle, and we talk about this idea that they can change this. And the Joker's only response is to tell a joke. But remember, look at all the colors. They're so iconic. They could have put any colors in there, but they stripped it down to the core colors. But again, you're right, Mike. I had not ever really thought about the use of, was that beam of light representative of their relationship? And had that beam of light connected, could they have escaped together because the beam of light would have connected them to escape the insane asylum?
Something to think about.
Something to think about. Now, final thought, Mike.
Go ahead. Ask me your question.
Looking at this page right now, does Batman kill the Joker?
I would say no.
Why?
Because he's Batman and he has a code, and he doesn't kill. Even the Joker, which is part of the thing that I was mentioning before. It's kind of a ridiculous code, in especially for someone like the Joker, because he won't kill this one man, but then the Joker, kind of like a revolving door, goes into Arkham, gets out, kills a bunch of people. Batman catches him, throws him back in. He gets out, he kills a bunch of people. So Batman not killing this one person means that he's essentially saying he's more important than the hundreds or dozens or whatever that the Joker has killed, which doesn't make any sense for Batman.
All right. So there is no easy answer. In the reprinted book, which I took out of the library, because I actually have multiple copies of this book, but my house is still under construction, so I literally couldn't find it.
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere. In the end, and this is actually kind of important. In the end, Brian Bolland offers
an answer.
Maybe. Brian Bolland writes, speaking of which, it's time I revealed what really happened at the end of The Killing Joke. As our protagonist stood there in the rain, laughing at the final joke, the police lights reflecting in the puddled, filthy water underfoot, the Batman's hand reached out and... But he doesn't answer it.
Shook the Joker's hand.
Shook the Joker's hand. Well, the Joker's hand is out.
Yep.
And Batman could indeed shake the Joker's hand. Now, Grant Morrison was on a podcast, Kevin Smith's podcast, in which he posits that the Joker, that Batman definitely did kill the Joker. And by that, he means as soon as Batman reaches out to take the Joker's hand, he snaps the Joker's neck. I don't buy this.
I don't buy it either.
Let me show you why. My feeling is it's tied into the light, the laughter, and the sound effect from the police car. And I'll tell you why I don't think he killed the Joker. So, Batman, at this moment, laughs at the Joker's joke. He never finds anything funny about the Joker. But in this case, he's laughing. He's laughing so hard that he puts his hand on the Joker's shoulder, which, if you're, playing along with Grant Morrison and Kevin Smith, means that he was close enough to snap his neck. But I don't think so. The laughter and the sound effects, are the exact same size. If he snapped the Joker's neck, you might have it here, but there's no change in the position of their feet or Batman's cape in the third to left panel. You still hear the siren, and then the siren suddenly stops, and we're left with the beam of light, wondering if they had ever connected that beam of light. Would they have escaped this asylum together? And then there's no light, just the rain that fills the blanks. I could kind of see potentially that he does snap the Joker's neck because the sound of the siren lasts longer than the laughter. But I also don't see any other evidence that might indicate that he did snap the neck of the Joker and kill him and end this insanity after all.
Well, that's why they left it like that.
Yeah, and even at the end, he doesn't really answer the question in the reprinted book.
Yeah. It's not a question you can really answer.
We tried.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So we'll have to ask our audience if they like things like this, if they want to see more types of analyses of this nature, or if
I would like to see more types like this.
Did you enjoy this, Mike?
I did, because see, stuff like that I never would have picked up on my own. That beam of light, walking across, even having just read the tie into the joke a couple panels before, I never would have even caught on to that. I was just reading it for the story.
Yeah, and I think if you read this on a number of levels, the joke is the perfect Joker joke. And he is self-aware of the fact that Batman and he are two lunatics trapped in the same asylum, right? Like, he gets the joke. Batman understands it, but what makes Batman crack up is he finally realizes that indeed the Joker's right, and they are both the same lunatics in the same. Okay, so Rich says, I always assumed that he did kill the Joker due to being pushed to do it by the Joker. The laughter was Batman snapping.
Maybe there should have been a badump there.
A badump. I don't know. I think Rich makes a good point. Batman snapped now that he can literally laugh at the Joker after all the Joker has done. The Joker is a pretty gruesome story. Like, this was a story that kind of touched the edges of what you were able to do in 1988, where you could go wow, did they really just do that? It was an incredibly violent story. All right, so then Vince jumps in, says he loves the visual metaphor, symbolism elements. The story gets a second narrator, the art itself. I agree, man. I agree. I think that the light and color in this story is a second level of narration. Mike, what do you think? You're going to go back and read the
See, now I'm going to have to go back and read the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we got a thumbs up. Somebody actually gave us a thumbs up. We rarely get a thumbs up live in the show, Mike. Usually we get unsubscribes. All right, wait, Rich, read something. This is good. You read this one, Mike.
I took the title literally, that the killing joke was exactly that, a joke told before being killed. Well, you could take it like that. Yes.
That is. And I think, right, that's the killing joke. The one lunatic jumps across, no problem, and says, I have a flashlight. I'll shine the beam and you walk across. And the other lunatic says, no, halfway across, you'll turn off the light, which, of course, to a rational person, it's like, wait, you thought you were going to, that's what you're worried about? But the killing part, right? I think Rich is onto something. The killing part. Does Batman kill him over that joke?
Over the joke, or just to get rid of him? because it wasn't that bad of a joke.
Well, no, does the joke trigger Batman to realize exactly the futile nature of trying to bring the Joker in one more time?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, after doing this a dozen times, Batman should realize, it's never going to end. I'm not going to kill this guy, but he's never going to stop killing people. But then you go back to Batman's code and he doesn't kill.
Or does
So
he not? I mean, who knows? And I'd like to just note that Rich said, "Yeah, buddy, you did a great job of providing a different narrative for this classic." I'd like to think that we did this together, Mike. But I'm going to take the
it was all
victory.
you. You got to take the credit for that because
Yeah.
I would have just read the words and that would have been it.
You know what? I need you here. I need you here. And Rich likes our jokes, so you know what? At the end of the day, I want
That's all
Rich
that
one
counts.
day to share. I'll get Rich on the show. I just want to see Rich in a bathrobe one day, just to see. I don't even know what he looks like. I'm just going to be like, Rich, are you going to come on with the bath? Yeah, all right. So I felt like, Mike, this was one of those stories that, upon further analysis, had more depth than most people realized. And Alan Moore, generally known for his deconstructionist story Watchmen, was we got another badump was best known because of how it deconstructed superheroes. I think what made this one so good was that it actually played it straight with superheroes. It wasn't a matter of saying, aren't superheroes ridiculous? Isn't this just the craziest thing? He played the Batman straight. He played the Joker straight. He enhanced their characters. He played Commissioner Gordon straight. Like, Gordon couldn't be broken. But I think also he wasn't far off the truth. Could one night be the thing that pushes a sane man over the edge?
It took all those things that you pointed out right into the story.
Right into the story.
Brilliant.
So it was, and
Hey, there's
the
Andre.
rope brought in a different element to the show. Mike is the MVP. You are. Oh my goodness, it is Andre Domino. Without Andre, we would probably not be here tonight. Molto bene, Andre. Molto bene. Andre gave us a break when we needed it most, Mike. When we did this this very show in the 90s, Andre was there and provided us safe haven and a place to shoot. And we absolutely love Andre. It was Comics Vision. It is Comics Vision.
That was good times.
It is. It is. And the problem with Andre is he looks exactly the same as the day we met him in 1995, Mike. I mean, I see him on Facebook and he's the same guy. I'm like, did you get bit by a vampire or something? So thanks for coming on, Andre, and greeting us. And Mike, thanks for playing along, and thanks for everybody else playing along. Feel free to offer suggestions and ideas. Maybe we'll get Andre back on the show at some point, Mike.
That would be great. Haven't talked to Andre in decades.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Here he is showing up on the show with us. If anybody has any comics that have multi-layered storytelling that they think Mike and I should be looking at, let us know. We would love to be able to break it down and also analyze some of the other great storytelling that we see happening. What do you think, Mike?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do any of that because I just kind of skim through them.
Mike, you are absolutely, you helped make this show. This entire show was an educational moment.
Very good.
And I will give one. Check this out. Although I indeed took this particular one out of the library, I do want to note that the Killing Joke hardcover deluxe edition has some original sketches that breaks down Brian Bolland, even the iconic cover of how he made it.
Oh,
and actually has Brian Bolland explaining parts of the story and how he created this particular story. Yeah, so he does draw himself. Oh, and shoot, Mike, one more thing. I have to stop my camera for a second. Do you think you could take over for 2 seconds while I grab something off the shelf?
Oh, geez.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Hey, everyone. It's Tuesday, and we own Tuesday. Yeah. So we'll have to find out. What does Rich say? Anything Daredevil from the 90s or the 80s Iron Man, Tony Stark. I think the alcoholism, Tony. Yeah, that would be a good one to do because there was lots and lots of stuff of Tony. I remember one of those scenes where his repulsor ray blasted out of his hand and killed somebody. And that was one of those panels that you remember forever. That'd be a very good one to break down. Break down the whole story of Iron Man going down his alcoholic path. That would be very interesting. Buddy, you'll have to do that because
I'm
I'd
back.
have to go
So
through and
I did want
read
to
all
add
of those
one.
again.
I did want to add one more thing, and this is actually kind of a cool thing. I'll pull it up larger here. So before the passing of Denny O'Neil, I spent a lot of time with Denny and just being a helper to him, right? So when DC Comics asked Denny to write a couple of final comic book stories, they asked him to contribute something to the Joker. So I was essentially there to assist Denny, it's like, assisting Michelangelo, you know what I mean? Like you do what they tell you to do.
Here's your
So
paintbrush.
yeah, Denny was the genius. I put my hands on the keyboard and just kind of dimensionalized what he wanted. And one of the little interesting gimmies here, I'll see if I can get it up on the page, is in this particular story right here, the Joker is looking at a guy who's taking pictures, and this is where the Joker gets the legendary camera that is shown in The Killing Joke. So
Interesting.
Denny kind of tied a lot of things together. It's so hard. I should have scanned this, but that was the intention. And if you notice the outfit, you see the outfit? It is very similar to the outfit that the Joker wears when he assaults Commissioner Gordon's
Barbara Gordon.
daughter. And there it is.
Yeah, look at that.
There it is. So a little nod, a little bit of trivia. So one of Denny O'Neil's final stories, which I was fortunate enough to be able to put my fat little fingers on the keyboard to help him out. Made it in there, and it's a little reference to the camera that the Joker has in this story. How's that for Denny O'Neil tying up some ends?
Good old Denny.
That was a little Denny. Last one before he goes. All right, it's one of my final stories. Nobody can contradict me. Denny was a great, brilliant writer, and it was wonderful to be able to hear him think through the process. So everything he did was verbal at that point, and man was just a genius. So Joker tied together with The Killing Joke, which is a masterpiece of comic book literature. I thank you, Mike, for joining me tonight, and we thank everybody else for joining us. We encourage everybody to go into the message boards if they want to agree, disagree, talk a little bit about what they feel like they saw tonight. What do you think, Mike?
I think they should. We should get maybe 11 viewers.
All right, Mike, I'm going to punch you into the room. I'm going to wrap up. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. And then for all of you who do join us live here, it means a lot to us. We are looking at your comments. We're happy to see Rich and Vince, and of course, Andre. God, it's so great to see you, Andre. And also, it means a lot to us because we take this comic book storytelling very, very seriously, and we're glad that you do as well. Comics are a lot of fun, but they're also a lot of work, and everything that you put into the panel should matter. And I think what we saw with Brian Bolland and Alan Moore was that everything that went on the page had significance, including sound effects, repeated imagery, and color. So as you make your comic books, really think about what matters to you and how to make your story as great as possible. My name is Buddy Scalera. This is let me see if I can find this. I'll do a really good ending for you. My name is Buddy Scalera, and thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you next Tuesday, where we see you every Tuesday to talk about the craft and business of making comics. Good night.